Hoş geldiniz öncelikle. Biraz beklettik, kusura bakmayın lütfen. Ben İstanbul Modern'de küratörüm. Aynı zamanda Olafur Eliasson'un Senin, beklenmedik, karşılaşman başlığıyla geliştirdiğimiz serginin de Öykü Özsoy, Sağnak ve Nilay Dursun'la birlikte küratörlerinden biriyim. Büyük bir kısmınızın sergiyi ziyaret ettiğini tahmin ediyoruz. Ama özetlemek gerekirse sergi Olafur'un 30 yıllık kariyerinde ışık, renk, algı, hareket, geometri ve çevre gibi başlıklara duyduğu derin ilgiyi yansıtıyor. Dünyanın farklı köşelerindeki müze ve kültür sanat kurumlarıyla birlikte hatta kamusal alanlarda gerçekleştirdiği projelerle tanıdığımız sanatçının üretimlerinden kapsamlı bir seçkiyi İstanbul Modern'de sizlerle buluşturduğumuz için çok mutluyuz. Sanatçının aslında muhtemelen kendisi de bahsedecektir. Onları deneyimleyenlerle tamamlandığı fikrinin altını çiziyor. İzleyicileri ortak keşif ve hatta üretim sürecinin bir bileşeni olarak sergiye davet ediyor Olafur. Aynı zamanda İstanbul Modern'deki sergi, müzenin Boğaziçi'nde yer alan konumundan besleniyor. Sanatçı seyir ve yön bulma gibi denizcilikten ödünç aldığı kavramları da sergide önceliklendiriyor. Müzenin ikinci katında yer alan Süreli Sergi Salonu'nda yaptığımız ilk süreli sergi, koleksiyon seçkilerinden sonra bu arada. Bu çerçevede ayrıca heyecanlı olduğumuzu da belirtmek istiyorum. Olafur'un konuşmasından sonra birkaç soru alacağız. Şimdi Olafur'u buraya davet ediyorum. Çok teşekkürler geldiğiniz için.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm turned on now. I wish you welcome. Before I start, I can also just extend my welcome a little bit. So this is a nice room, right? Okay. Good. So anyway, yeah. No, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much. It's lovely outside. It's nice weather and it's Friday. So I'm really grateful that you are sitting here in this dark room. So let's just say that you have all, just like myself, arrived. And all of you come from different, some come from the same place, maybe same workplace, or you saw our exhibition together, but generally we all come from different places. But now we're here, right? And we all have...
We can't hear you properly.
Okay, should I maybe stand over here? Or what about moving the mic up? Should I move the mic up? Thank you so much for saying that. This room has excellent sound, so it doesn't travel. But is somebody going to change it? I think I prefer not to have to stand here. I feel like a school teacher.
I think they're going to...
Okay, they're going to turn me up, turn me on and turn me up. I can try to speak a little louder also. Is that better? So you have expectations coming here of hearing something evidently, but also just feeling welcome to the extent of me talking and you are listening. And can we just stay there for a second? You all come from different places. Now we're here. I come from another place. I was at the hotel, then I had a beer at the restaurant upstairs, and then I come down here. And I was looking forward to meet you. So hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. It's like, thanks you. So it's like kind of like, imagine all these journeys. Now we're together, so this is a little hour, or 2 or 3 of a crossroad, right? Here we meet, and then we go again. So today we all had a mood. Some of us was in a good mood. I was generally in a good mood. Then I was so exhausted from yesterday. And then I was like, then became in a good mood again. So I had my mood journey, right? I had my feelings. So if you can do me the favor of just pay attention or be observant if you want to how was your feelings today before you got here. It's just a kind of saying welcome, right? So how did you feel today? You don't have to tell me. You just tell yourself. How was the day, right? And I think it's important to somehow just hold space for that feeling or those feelings of today. that carried you through the day into this. And for some of us, or some of you, had the feeling, you know, there's a spectrum of feelings. Very good and very not so good, or very bad. Right? Out here you have falling apart. I fell apart today. Right? So I want to embrace the ones who felt that they fell apart into pieces. And the Nigerian philosopher, he has such a good sentence. He's a recovering psychologist, as he says. He says, when you fall apart, don't forget to love the pieces. So this is what we're going to do today. Love. Not not like this, but I want to host you in a very warm, loving, and also a sincere way. I'm gonna relax my attachment to outcome, the success of my talk. I'm just not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna worry more about how to best be present and accept if I get a little nervous. It's a feeling I have, nervousness. I can say things that are lightly out of, you know, like mildly confused, or like uncertain. And uncertainty, I not really know, where am I going with this? Where am I going with what I'm saying right now? Right? So now I made a soft, unclear statement. And I felt this feeling of uncertainty grew up in me. And I go like this, I'm losing the audience, I'm losing the attention. It sits in my shoulders. I can feel that if I'm not doing well in talking, I get my shoulders, they get warm. They have warm shoulders now. So I am being observant to how I feel. Now, if you could somehow more or less do the same, but be observant. You had a day, you came here. So now we're here together. Some of you know each other, some of you just met, but maybe pay attention to the people next to you you don't have to say hello and so on, but we are not alone, we are here together. I'm still saying welcome, by the way, right? We are here together. Acknowledge, or observe and acknowledge what feelings from today carried in here, and where do they sit in your body? And now, let's see if we can be observant in a sense that we can say, this is my feelings. I could go on and talk like this for a little while, and I could go into something where we say, every feeling that we have, like me, feeling hot in my neck, when I get uncertain about what am I saying, is the way I'm saying it good enough, am I coming across, is it loud enough? Every feeling comes from a need that is not met, right? My need is to be clear. I'm trying to relax my attachment to outcome. It's not so easy because I want to be successful, I want to be liked, I want to be seen, met and heard and acknowledged. I want my show to be a success. So this is my welcome. I welcome you from this place of acknowledging the need to be observant to our feelings. Because I think with that in mind, one has a better experience of an exhibition. Of course, we could say we go in, and I will go through my exhibition and some works. I have them here as slides. I just, in the spirit of welcoming you, also want to acknowledge an exhibition is many things. And you come here, you might go to the show or you come to this talk, and you leave again. And the potential of this, I believe, lies in the degree to which you successfully, that's a bad word, success already, right? But the degree to which you can acknowledge how you feel and from what need, unmet or met, that feeling grows. So I'm not so interested in feelings. I used to be. Now I'm very interested in needs. So when I make an exhibition like this, I think about what are the way that people experience art capable of. how are the exhibition capable of meeting needs of people and potentially unmet needs? And I won't talk too much about it. It's just as a little introduction because I'm curious about it. You know, we all know the situation where we are watching a theater play, we are reading a poem, we are looking at dance or listening to music, and we are looking at art, right? And this is all called culture, culture sector, cultural experiences of sorts. And I've said it so many times, so I hope I'm not repeating myself. But sometimes we are engaging in this way and you realize that the person in the book, that's an easy one. That's exactly what I would have done. This person is me. The book is doing exactly what I would have done. It is as if the book is giving structure, language, space, life to something which was an unmet need, but I was met. I was seen. The painting, I know that feeling. That painting is exactly what I wanted to say, but I did not come around to say it yet because saying things is not so easy. But with language of culture, sound, light, color, all these things, you can speak a language, not just the artist, but the one who looks at art also. You speak a language which is not verbal, or it can be verbal, but, and this is interesting because suddenly you have a situation where you feel reflected. You have an emotional need, and this particular work of art, and that's not necessarily my exhibition, reflects your need, and you leave the museum saying, it was as if the museum, the exhibition, the artwork saw me. It gave attention, it gave language, it gave love to something in me that was an unmet need. Do you understand that? And this I think is interesting because we all have different unmet needs. So we can say the feelings, we also all have feelings. Those I cannot change. Underneath the feelings, we have our needs. If I can meet you in your needs, your feeling will change automatically. And I don't say that that is my main purpose or so on and so forth, but I think as a museum, we are in a museum today, the way a museum works in society. Let's now zoom out. In society, we have private sector. What's the ambition? Generally, it's profitability and economical stability and predictability, right? Then we have a public sector, right? The role of that is to secure democracy, social stability, social cohesion, educational sector. So this public sector is like really fundamental for society. And then we have something, and they're all overlapping and all of that, and it's probably bigger, but there is a cultural sector. The cultural sector is keeping a sort of, it's fact-checking whether people are emotionally met, meaning our values, our needs, are up to date with our feelings. Sometimes we live in a society that we say, oh, today, right, 2024, we have human rights, we have gender politics, identity politics, decolonialization, we have all these amazing new, or not so new, but you know, the world is changing. It always is changing. But our values, they are lagging behind. We have values from the 70s. It's like so weird. So what's going on? The needs are, or the values are out of sync with the time we live. You can say that's a socially, no, it's a societal, structural unmet need. You have a kind of discrepancy between how things are and how things should be, if we think about it. The culture sector is calibrating the times in which we live with the values, questioning, criticizing, you know, exploring, is that actually the reality we live in? But on a very small level. So now I will not go too long into this, but this was an attempt to sort of say, institutions like cultural institutions, theaters, publishing houses, the free press for that matter, all these things, what they do, they address unmet needs to secure that the feelings are staying hopeful, positive, optimistic, and we have a whole range. Here we have depression, stress, introvertness, negative thoughts, suicidal thoughts, like over here, right? So I think whether you talk about your honor, personal, I feel I fell apart today, and I need love for that matter. If it's very personal, or if it is all the way across to a societal system, I think culture is active in this field. So when you go in to see a show, and then I will get started with my talk. This is still the intro, still the welcome. When you go in to see a show, you are free to check yourself and be observant. How do I actually feel? And how are those feelings connected to what needs? Met, some feelings are met. I feel great, right? I have maybe I don't have much, but I have a few, if you want to know. But generally my needs are met. And see, now when you look at art, there's nothing wrong in just checking which artwork speaks to me. You don't have to look at every artwork, but I recommend have a closer look. And this is why I always say, don't think and don't make the mistake to think that you're in a mall consuming art, because you're not. Going to an art museum is like hard work. Well, it's a work at least, right? Consuming is like, spa, they massage me, like this. Looking at art is like massaging the art. You're the producer, you're not the consumer, you're co-producer, right? The museum is the producer, I'm the artist, I'm the producer. The artwork has agency, it produces itself. It is arting its way through. And you, the visitor, you don't come to consume the artwork. You come here to co-produce the artwork. You are also the artist, you could say. You have an idea and then you see the artwork and the idea is produced. Oh, that's not for me. So this was sort of the introduction, and I was trying to give you agency without recommending you to be doing well. Right? You know, it's actually okay to say, I'm feeling so and so, but I am observant. And maybe art, and maybe not. Maybe this book instead, or maybe something else, is what gives me the space in which I can have thoughts that I cannot have in the private sector, because I'm just a consumer or a worker, or the transactionality of the private sector. It's not really a therapeutic offering exactly, right? Or the public sector, do I feel safe, with the system? So the cultural sector is like really fantastic. It's really, really valuable on a level from the very top to the very bottom. So it is in that spirit, when I work in the studio, I try to go from that tiny little meeting between a work of art and a person and the societal system of the whole world, for that matter. That was the introduction, and now I have a few slides, and I will go through those. I have 4 small chapters. This talk is like 5 hours long. I have 4 chapters. Your unexpected journey. No, the unexpected encounter. That unexpected encounter, actually, that is what I was talking about a little bit. You go and you look at something, and then if you look a little more, and if you lean into it, right, you work, you go like, the experience. And experience is never just a moment. Experience is like going all the way from home and going like, wow. Right, it's a little bit like Christmas. You look forward, or oh my God, the family is coming again. It's a journey, right? Then you have Christmas Eve. And you get something out of it. You see your family, and the whole thing is kind of nice, actually. But it's also a little stressing. But then later, 6 months later, you go, oh, it's actually nice. When they said that, and we did that, and that was nice. So, the experience starts already over here, and ends over here. So when you go home, you're not done, as I see it, right? So the unexpected encounter is this idea that you are on a journey. I'm on a journey. The artworks are journeying from Berlin here. After here, they will journey somewhere else. And today is a crossroad. Just like all of you come here, and then you go, all of you go somewhere else. And that's why I'm very interested in how do we navigate this, and the idea of navigate and mapping. This is the dusk to dawn in Bosporus. I'm so excited about being at the Bosporus because it's like such a boogie-woogie, and the lights, you know, all the lights and the color, and it's a little like, it's like a score, you know, it's like a wave, a score and so on. And this is driftwood, driftwoods that are lost. And being lost, this is also, I think, called your unexpected journey. It's permanently in the staircase. I mean, if you stand over here, I wonder if there's a laser on this as well. Huh? Yeah, see. If you stand here, and look over here, you will see in that mirror that the Renzo Piano, he's like obsessed with symmetry. Have you noticed? So the building is exactly the same, except there's a restaurant behind the glass, and there's a so this particular work, you know, the unexpected journey, is the idea of you are journeying into a compass. Actually, at the very top there, you see a planet. You know how all the journeys, the trips, and all the Black Sea and the Bosporus, and connection to the world, and all the ships traveling, and so it's supposed to look on one side like a dome maybe in a faith-based space, such as a mosque or something. It's like a dome full of the arches, but it also looks like the way that the planes and the ships and everything has been transported. And of course, there's only half of it, because the other half is in the mirror. Now we'll go a little faster, because otherwise I'll never finish. See, talking about being lost, this is in the exhibition upstairs. This is a piece of driftwood, probably from Russia. There are apparently also some from Latin America or America, and you know how it works. The Earth is spinning. The one we just saw on the other picture. We have the Gulf Stream, the pump, as they call it, up to the North Pole, and then it goes into the North Pole. It cools down and goes down and goes down to Florida, actually. In Siberia, they have wood industry. Or in Finland, and sometimes they lose a tree, or the tree breaks free from being cut into a sawmill, right? And that tree goes into the North Pole, and it goes in the summer, winter, and it takes about 15 years for it to come out on the other side, in the sun, all salty and washed up, spending so long, 15 years, and then it looks like this. What was a tree? So it's kind of lost. Only the spinning of the earth makes the water go like this, and then it comes down to the coast of Iceland, or Greenland, or this passage, or Nova Scotia, or Labrador, or Maine's Island, or Florida. And in Florida, it warms up again, and then it goes back up, and it hits the south coast of Iceland. So the ones on the south coast are much older than on the north coast. So details, anyway. It's fascinating, right? So the lost compass, this is magnets, many small magnets. One magnet is not strong enough to hold this big piece of wood. And we kept putting magnets, one more, no, it's not enough, one more magnet. So it becomes like a magnet collaboration. See, it's like a magnet community. And suddenly this big piece of wood was not lost anymore. Right. I know where it is in the show. This is north. This is south. Even here with no windows. This means saying welcome to you, and we are here and we feel like this. My mother, she's here, there. If this is north, then this is New York. This is Kiev, New York, right? Tokyo, and Cairo, okay? And the earth is so small. It rotates like this. It has a livable zone, a crust, this thick, compared to the size of those, like nothing. 8 kilometers, or 10 maybe, right? 40 meters down, there's nothing. And it's interesting, it's a tiny planet. We can easily fuck it up if we want. So this idea of navigation and mapping, because if you know where you are, it is more easier. You are more likely, I think, to find out who you are. Because I'm here today with you in Istanbul, and I know Kiev, okay? And I know Israel. Conflict, right? I have the trade routes. You know, we are in the world. We are not outside the world in this room. We are right here and now. Here and now, right? Now and here. Now, here, nowhere. But I don't believe that. It's like now, here, right? So I've been interested in this way. So I gathered the driftwood from Iceland, and I took them to Berlin, and I sent them around town. I threw them around town. This is from north. Not so long time in the ocean, you can see it, huh? Right? This is, oh, sorry. Yeah, south, north. So, this idea of navigation, imagine if there was like a flood in Berlin and the water go away, then there would be driftwood. Right, it's a long story, but. So, if we go on, oh, sorry. This is here, this is a photo taken here. When there's not a big ship, it's also interesting, when there's a big ship you can't see anything, right? But when there's not a big ship, this is a sunset kaleidoscope, which is another way of looking, right? Because you know that animals, they see differently, they see different ways. They organize themselves differently. A fly has a compound eye with many small eyes and so on. So a kaleidoscopic view is not definition, it's not non-human, it is maybe more than human. In this case, the sun is inside of it, it's rotating. You can see the piece upstairs in the show. And I like it very much because the ships on the Bosphorus, they go like, So it's like a kind of, it's more like a Bosporus boogie-woogie. You know, there's this kind of more chaotic Mondrian painting. There's all these Mondrian paintings, there's always a minimum, but one has many dots on it. It's the Broadway boogie-woogie. And again, in terms of navigation and mapping, how do we see? Where I come from, this is the view from my studio. This is out of the window. So every once in a while when I'm in Iceland, I always try to photograph the ships. And I started doing the same here in Bosphorus. There's so many ships here, it's impossible. But essentially, you see, you know them, right? It's the same ships, many of them. I mean, it's not exactly the same. And they're also navigating, sailing the seas. It's a poetic, this is in the show. It's a little bit like, I know. You know, I know the Bosphorus. It's not an alien. It's very different, but so it's a small little reference in my exhibition. See, the next theme is climate. This was a loose theme now about navigation and feeling lost and finding yourself and where is my mom or my father? So here the next series of pictures. This is one of my very oldest pieces from '97 called Erosion. I emptied out a water reservoir, a rainwater reservoir, onto the street. Oh, sorry, only one slide. And there was a river running through the street. You normally talk about nature and then culture. So the rainwater, they gathered the rainwater in a reservoir so they can give the palm tree water when it's dry, the palm trees in the street. So I said, let's empty the rainwater, let's put the rainwater where the rainwater goes normally. And in the city, the rainwater, was a lot of rainwater. It ran through like a mini tsunami. It's called succession because it dragged with it all the dirt and the stones and crumbs. It carved through the parking lot and it over the sidewalk 1.5 kilometers into it, ran into the gutter. Erosion. Donna Haraway, since then, since that's about 10 years ago, I think, maybe 15, she talked about there's no nature and there's no culture. There's nature culture, is one word. Or culture nature, nature culture. And I like this idea that, you know, there's nothing left that we humans have not in some way influenced. Even in Iceland, where I come, where there's a highland, there's no people there. You cannot live there, and so on and so forth. But the air still has pollutants, and there are marks regardlessly. The same with the waterfalls. This is in New York City, and if you have, this is the Brooklyn Bridge. This was lit at night. Now every bridge is lit, so now I don't think I would have lit it. You know, now every bridge has like spectacular lighting. And but nevertheless, what is nice, of course, in what we used to call nature, or in nature culture, you look at the bridge, this is Manhattan. You look at Manhattan and you go like, whoa, that's tall houses, that's a big bridge. Also here, you stand the bus, but you see this big ship, and you say, this is never going to go under the bridge. It's too big, right? And then, yeah, it goes under. But what I'm trying to say, when you are out in the mountains, and in Iceland there's no trees, it's not like Switzerland in the Alps, there's cows everywhere. Or there's no roads, right? No trees. And you go like this, well, it's like Greenland also. You go like, is this now 2 hours or 2 days? How far away is everything? And you feel lost again, navigation and mapping, right? You go like, should I walk or should I not walk? I cannot sense the depth. I have become insensitive. And then I start walking. And it's so funny. The one mountain, there's two mountains. The one mountain comes closer and the other mountain doesn't change. So it means the two mountains, one mountain must be a small mountain close by, and the other mountain is a big mountain far away. Because when you walk, you add physical dimensionality. And suddenly I say, oh, I'm here. I have a body. Right. Now this idea of having a body, I am very interested in this notion of presence in landscape. And that was my entry to being involved with the climate. Understanding there is a physical relationship between the world around us and how we act. Now, a waterfall, you stand and you look at a landscape and you go like, wow, that's amazing. It's like, what is this? It's fantastic. But how big is it? And over there far away you see a waterfall, and the waterfall goes like really slow. And you go, whoa, there's a big waterfall far away. Or the waterfall goes like, shh, like this. It's a small waterfall close by. The waterfall is doing the walking, and I get my body back. It's not so much about the landscape, it's about a sense of presence. From that place of presence, from that space, I'm actually able to have a physical relationship with nature that allowed me to become more sensitized and more concerned with what I heard then gradually as a young student about what was called the climate crisis. And I became more and more engaged, especially as what I knew from the Arctic, the Icelandic landscapes, was in fact, it was highly vulnerable because it's just moss and lichen, small things, you know, a small tree that has grown 50 years to become this big. It's like a bonsai. And you go like, a little bit different, the tree is completely changing. Oh, sorry about that. So here I showed it in Qatar, as you can see. It's sort of relevant. And I was flying 20 years ago. I was just out of art school, and then again in 2018. So there's 20 years, and you can see the piece upstairs. There's 20 years between the two. I made explicit the change. This was one work. And you can see. As a funny thing is, I had my assistant with me, and when we were doing it, he was in the plane and also getting fuel. So I was using carbon, creating carbon emissions. So anyway, and he said, Olafur, it's my birthday next week. And I said, wow, Lino, it's your birthday. We're kind of busy. No, he said, I'm getting 20. And I said, wow, so you were born when I did the first one? Yes. And then I looked at him, and this was it, the physical understanding. That is his life. And I'm over 50. Right? So it's so difficult to have a personal or intimate relationship with the abstract nature of the climate crisis. It's kind of out of reach. Not so out of reach as it used to be, and it is getting less and less out of reach. But you understand what I mean? I believe that if you are capable, or if we are capable of checking how we feel and be observant, we can also see spaces with ourselves in it, and with ourselves in it, we are more likely to engage in the consequences of our actions. This was in Paris. I've done it a couple of times. This was glacier ice from Greenland. It's also the same. We know what glacier ice is. I've seen glaciers in the papers now for 20 years, like on and off, right? The scientists, the politicians, the COP this and COP that. This was COP 15 in Paris, the famous one, Paris Agreement. And together with UN and the Mayor Anne Hidalgo and the Foreign Ministry, we shipped ice from Greenland. We tracked the carbon emission, and we made it public exactly how much, and to be completely transparent. But it's interesting because people say, "Whoa, ice!" So it's not like a big surprise. This is ice, and then they walk over to it and say, "Oh, it's cold." and you know, of course, they knew it was cold. And still, the idea of knowledge of ice and the physical experience of ice is not the same. We know there is the glaciers, there is we know Greenland, we know all about Greenland. We have almost been there, because it's been so often in the press, but we have never touched it. And touching it also means, wow, this color of ice, you know, is like amazing. And what is this sound? It's like popcorn. And what is this? The ice is so heavy that the small bubbles inside are pressed. So the pressure on the bubble is like 20 tons, because the glacier is very thick, right? So you have a small air bubble with air that is 20,000 years old, or 10,000, or you know, however old the glacier is. And this little air bubble now pops out, and you go, whoa, it just came out and mixed with this other air. I wonder how it's doing when the air now is so different. But in the ice you have, you know, it's very cold, the air. In the ice you have these small pockets. See, so you have the shape of the ice. And if you sniff your nose into the pocket, you have all the air, if it's not windy. And you can sniff the ice air, the air from 20,000 years ago. It's funny, right? It's, you know, it was different than today. And I could go on, the color, the sniff, the air, the taste, the drink, you can drink it. Imagine to have a drink that's 20,000 years old, and so on. See now, this is about the physical relationship with what you already know. You know the landscape, you're looking at it, but to hike through it, to see the river, the wind in the trees, to see the waterfall, or the way the mountain and landscape moves when you walk through it, is very much about becoming a part of nature yourself. Right? And this is a good starting point. Start with yourself, because I believe very much in what Bruno Latour, for instance, talks about when he says, don't look to the horizon like modernity. Don't be utopian. Look down and around. Right? Here. Because the earth is collapsing right underneath our feet. It is not collaborating with us anymore. We have taken more than we have been giving back for a long time. We're going to ask our grandchildren to give back to the earth. We are borrowing energy to pay and to heat up everything no, not to pay, to heat up luxury life today. And our grandchildren, it's not our grandchildren, but just the grandchildren, right? They're going to pay the bill. So I don't know how to pay it now. I can't. I have my house. I cannot have a cold house, of course. So this is an interesting thing. We feel physically disconnected, and I think that is a key component of how to actually become more engaged. Checking how you feel. So I'm going to now take a little bit of a faster journey, because I have been very interested in models of thinking, been interested in science models, and algebra, architecture, engineering, the understanding of space. This is it's called a bridge from nowhere. It's like some kind of a black hole maybe, or some sort of thing you can travel into if you want. It's a void. This is also in the show. And I have a city. Oh my God, that is in a different place than I thought, but that is also very entertaining. This is in my studio. This is me. And see, I've also broke my arm doing it. You know, on the other end there, is an unexpected encounter now. The other end there, it's a meteorite. And you know, a meteorite lives largely its life in weightlessness. So I'm trying to recreate the feeling of feeling weightless. This is me having no gravity. That's so funny this came now. So it's not at all what I wanted to say. So what I wanted to say is maybe this one. Yes. This is a model for a circular city. This is a whole collection of algebra and mathematical models that are not the typical governed modern mathematical systems. Some of them are, and this is not so easy to say what is what. But you know, we have, you know, gravity on the Earth, and that is the reason why columns are vertical. Imagine if gravity in the Earth was not going down, but it was like tilted. All columns, the minarets, they would be like this. So, of course, there is some logic in why geometry and algebra and mathematics is as it is, because there is the laws of nature. But there's also the laws of economy, profitability, and every space in which we are made out of choices based on ideology, based on profitability, based on what is the most efficient way of building. So in modern terms, this would be a highly inefficient city. But it is largely based on natural principles in algebra, like formulas that comes from plants, that come from the way that fish moves in swarms, or the self-organized systems, or so on and so forth. I won't go into that, but I have a deep devotion to these type of interests. And sometimes I've been lucky to use those formulas or those principles. This is a facade on a concert hall in Reykjavik, and it is a facade that was asked, can you make something arty on the facade? And thanks to my great team in my studio, we said, let's do something with the geometry that we are so interested in, but let's make it so it holds up the roof, because then we can use the money that would have been spent on columns. So there is no columns. And you know, in a way you think, well, and so what? But it's interesting, as an architect, you would know that it's a structurally carrying facade. It's not a work of art that is a decorative layer put on afterwards. It's a work of art that actually holds the roof up. And it doesn't even touch the ground, as you can see also. But so I was very interested in making the geometry or the ideas we're working with to make them real instead of just a model. The museum we are in is also a model, we could say. And in the same way, we have also, oh, here you have that. That's on the inside. That's in my studio. That's my old studio. And this, your rainbow panorama. I wonder if I have another one of this one. No, I don't. Too bad. It's a whole circle of a rainbow on the top of an art museum. That's not a bad idea here, actually, also. But anyway, so it goes around and comes around. So here I'm standing taking a picture in the purple area, right? There's no corners, it's a circle. So there's no like, stop, change, go, right? It's endless. So I'm in the purple area. And you know how it is, the eyes in the purple area, they start to counter, how do you call that? You make the complementary color. In a purple room, your eyes become yellow. You start seeing more yellow. Oh, I think maybe we ran out of battery. Oh, okay. But so just the point is simply, you come up, you go into, let's say the purple, you have yellow eyes. Now I go from purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, I go into the blue. But my eyes see yellow. It takes about 15 seconds. In the purple, my eyes are completely yellow. And I look at my phone, because it has its own light, it's completely yellow, Have you been to a football pitch and you're looking at the game, the sun is shining, and then the other one scores a goal and you're looking at the green grass and you look in the sky and the sky is red? Right? No. So anyway, you go with yellow eyes into the blue. Do you see blue then? Now you see green, because yellow and blue is green. Then you stop there. The complementary color to blue is orange. You get orange eyes. And you still don't see the blue. Right? Then you walk on a bit. You go from blue, quickly go up to the orange. Now you have orange eyes in the orange. You see like mega orange. So the way we see, and our brain, and how slow we adapt, and all of these things, really requires some kind of understanding, because I go one way, and my son goes the other way, and he says, this is a great orange. And I say, what? This is green, I say. Because we don't even see the same thing, depending on how much time and where we are, and so on and so forth. So this is like, being in the rainbow is, of course, also being yourself, being about your own freedom, and being about believing. And what I said, this is an art museum. Underneath there are paintings. And I would like to recommend, as I said earlier, I believe, you walk up to a painting expecting, wow, this is Chagall. Whoa, wow. Then you go over to the next painting, and Chagall is kind of coming with you, right? It's like, wow. And this is now, whatever. Malevich, to stay in Russia. And the Malevich is, first of all, the Chagall was so blue. Right? You looked at the blue. So Malevich is kind of strangely orange. But then it kind of corrects. And then you go on. So you don't just see a Chagall and then appear. You have a journey. This is the rainbow, the way we journey, and this is how I think we also can acknowledge that we are there. Because of course, when we go to the mall and we consume, it's like shoes. Boom, right? It's like trousers, it's like money. And the idea of walking through a landscape with the waterfall and these things, it's about the sequence of everything that allows us to be present and have a body. See, now these were the, and then I would go into the last parts, which is sort of where we started, and I know I'm doing it slow. This is a piece up there. The idea of perception. How do we check ourselves? How do we check how we are doing? Sometimes when you are in a feeling, it's actually not so easy to see how is the feeling. So to be observant is like here, how do I feel? Now I'm actually feeling quite good. I don't care if I'm slow anymore. I'm relaxing my attachment to outcome. I still want to come across. I want to be sincere and honest. But the point about understanding the feeling and checking in on yourself, I worked with that in some artworks. I think this is very interesting here. Especially the children, it's really good. They go like, whoa, it's me. It's like very interesting. And it's not just me, it's like me. There are many me's. It's like both before, it looks like time, right? It looks like a sequence of time. And the first thing is you make the shadow move, like this. The second thing is you start moving because you're looking at the shadow. So you reverse the objective. You are monitoring yourself. Now you can do the experiment. How do I feel? And then you can see how, if you want to look at your movements. Because of course our movements and our feelings and our needs are connected. So in a way this piece, if one doesn't just go like, wah! There's so much social control on sort of behavioral control, or like rules of museum and, shh, it is a museum, my son. Don't run around. Which is, in a way, it's understandable, but it's not good. I mean, how is this poor child ever going to like a museum if it's going to be punished every time it moves? So this notion of unlearning how to actually be right and wrong and to be up and down in a museum, I think a lot of this thing about perception and engagement, and what I said earlier about being a producer, and not a consumer. This is upstairs as well. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. But there's like so many emergency exits in this exhibition. There's like kind of like, I thought of signing them because so where do they all go? but this is room for one color. So it's the opposite of the rainbow, in a way, right? There's only one color. It's a monochromatic light, and you see more. There's various reasons. It takes too long to explain, but you actually see more. A black and white photo. This is like yellow-white. No, yellow-black, of course. A black and white photo, you can see more gray shades than you can in a color photo. It's too much work for the brain to look at a color photo. It's like stimulation, right? Black and white, you can see the gray shades. That's why they use yellow glass on skiing for Snow White, because you can simply see more nuance. So this is a room with hyper-seeing. If you're there with your partner, you can see, he didn't say, there's a pimple or the eye. You can see beautiful things like in the eye. So it's stunning. It's a hyper-vision. But what is nice is also people say, well, there's no art here other than the light. Yeah, but we are all the sculptures. So this is what I mean. We produce the artwork. This is a good example. If there's no people in this room, for sure there's no artwork also. And that's something I've been interested in, the time it takes. And that's why I said a model for a timeless garden. Imagine if we could stop time and you would have a garden. This is a model. You had the model table for all the houses outside. Did you see those streets? And there's a little airport for flying cars. And this is a timeless garden. I didn't have time today. I was supposed to go across Bosporus and see the garden. I'll do that tomorrow. But the timeless garden is, of course, a place where if everything stops, your own movement becomes more explicit, right? It's like, ugh. This is a nice idea, that there is no time. And then you move in this space of no time. See, I know I'm a little late, so I should. Your movement has consequences. Your engagement has consequences. Reality is relative to your engagement. You look, and the looking has consequences. And it's in the same way you could say, for this piece here, the Solar Nebula is in the museum collection, fortunately. So when you stand in the front, and typically we are very frontal, 2D. Like, because a phone is 2D, 2 fucking D, so sorry. But so you are being two-dimensionalized, maybe especially time. There's Beatrice Colominis, the architectural historian and theoretician. She wrote about the Barcelona pavilion by Mies, the famous pavilion. And he said, Mies said, it's like sliding doors. It's walls like this, if any of you are in architecture, and then a roof. And the roof is too big. So when you walk around, it's like, it's like very interesting. Renzo Piano, so Philip Johnson looked at Mies. Philip Johnson did Mrs. de Menil's house in Houston. Renzo Piano did her museum, and she said it has to be like Philip Johnson's house. And Renzo loved Philip Johnson. Bayerle Museum. Ernst Bayerle went to Houston with Renzo, say, I want the same museum. And I said, no, you cannot have the same. That's not possible. So they did Bayerle Museum. And then the Bayerle Museum became the role model for the new museum, and still, there's the walls, right? There are still the walls. Every architecture magazine for 100 years took perpendicular photos of Mies Barcelona Pavilion, and then, but nobody did this. No, that's why when Moholy-Nagy did the space modulator, the space, like the time, we have lost our time, the timeless garden. It is the time that makes the space present in a physically felt way, with the waterfall, the mountain that come close, and the way we hike. It is the way we see over time. So the nebula here, the solar nebula, if you just look from the front, you see a mirror with yourself. It's very nice to see yourself, right? But if you go to the side, just like when you go from Chagall to the Maldives, you go like, whoa, it's yellow, or it is black. And it's a play, it's like a little sort of, it's a playful suggestion. There is maybe not a right and wrong. Maybe the passaging through the piece is the success. Maybe it was never meant to be looked at from the front only. Maybe it is like a nebula in outer space. You journey by it. Maybe we are all meteorites jumping weightlessly through the museum with a meteorite on a weight. You know, it's very different to have a stone and a meteorite, I promise. It's just in the brain, right? So my first piece, you can see, oh, say now it happened again. My first piece in Istanbul ever, and the piece was only a few years old. Thank you. It's probably me. It was in '97. It was the Istanbul Biennale. I think it was Rosa Martinez who was the curator, and so I was in the Cisterna, and I did this piece called Beauty. It's a really lousy picture because it's the only one I have. Imagine it was before the digital camera. I'm not sure if I did not have a digital camera anyway. I didn't even have a cell phone, I said, this cell phone, that's gonna pass. But who the fuck is gonna need a cell phone? But anyway, so I made a water falling down in a mist and a lamp. Very easy. You can do it at home in the garage. Very easy, just like spray, lamp. You can make your own. It's like making art. This is like homemade art. And this has one interesting component also. If I stand here, I see some kind of a rainbow. And if I go over here, oh, the rainbow moves. And it becomes thicker, thinner, it changes. So it's like the solar nebula. If I get close, it gets smaller. So if I'm in there with one of you, you stand here and I stand here, you see a different rainbow, of course, because it's the eye, the drop, and the light. And if there's no eye, then there's no angle. And then there's no color, of course. Right? So it's like only there when you're looking at it. So it's like, well, then you see the color. Right? And I've thought about it many times, and as many other artworks, I also think it's about, we never see the same. We never feel the same, we don't have the same needs. We don't come from the same places, and we don't go to the same places. But we do somehow live in a system where sameness seems to be success. Right? Now we have populism. Populism says that they are different, they are not welcome, but they don't fit. We have football. What? Are you from the other football team? Do you want to fight? It's very hard to find spaces. I mean, we would like to think of our parliaments, of a space where the different points of view are coming together. But even parliaments, it's like kind of like, in the news, they had a fight with the fist in the parliament. There was so culture, again, the culture sector, it seems to be a success when you said, I really hate Chagall. It's like kind of totally not my thing. And I said, well, I can't, I like it. And then the two hate and like it, they can be friends. They can be very good. They can even marry and have a life, you know, and they can still disagree. It is very beautiful to have a space in society, a safe space, where we do not have to be the same in order to be together. And that's like what the museum is like, right? You go into the museum, and it's kind of nice. There's other people, and children running. It's like, and you know, they're very different people, but it's nice. You are actually sharing something with somebody who you don't know. You might not even like them in the sense, that's not how I see things. But they fundamentally come from a place of need. They also fundamentally want to be seen, met, heard, acknowledged, accepted, and so on and so forth. And we have that in common. And for that to be a space, we do not need to be the same. So thank you so much.